Welcome to the Board Game Snobs podcast. Critically harsh reviews with a touch of class.
Just say go.
Go.
Welcome to the Board Game Snobs podcast. This is the best podcast that you can be listening to currently because it's hard to listen to two podcasts at once. This is Jerry, the star of the show, and with...
Unless you're doing stereo, left ear, right ear, you could listen to two different ones at once.
I don't like that.
Maybe your brain works that way.
No, nobody's brain works that way. You can't listen to two. No, you can't.
How do you know?
I know you. You don't even listen when one person's talking.
I prefer not to listen.
Who are you? You are the host.
Who are you?
Just say.
Where's the transmitter?
Just say your name. That's Gabby. This is Jerry, and with us on our 99th episode.
99.1
we have
BGS.
We have done
radio station.
99 official episodes of the Board Game Snobs, and this is going to be important because we have a very important announcement after this. Our 99th episode is special, so we thought we'd have somebody special on our podcast with us.
He's special to us.
And unfortunately,
but probably not to anybody else.
Due to certain...
Except Mrs.
Due to certain national emergencies taking place, our dear friend Enrique
What's that?
has been quarantined because he has several comorbidities and he can't be out in public. And plus, he has problems not touching his face, not licking his hands. That's a weird thing.
Eating fingernails.
And just in general, just poor hygiene. He is isolated. And we felt like we needed a third person on this episode.
Although the dirt under his fingernails is probably a good 2 weeks old. It's probably safe.
Don't be saying things like that. You know,
he doesn't listen.
I know. It's very sad to have somebody who has a fan base who's never listened to the podcast. But anyways, Enrique's fine, but he's just secluded right now, and we can't look at him. He's in a bubble. He's basically...
I prefer to never look at him, actually.
Taped up his room, and he's just playing Call of Duty or whatever it is he plays, Fortnite. I don't know what game he plays. He plays that...
Fork Knife?
No, he plays...
PUBG?
Yeah, that's it. PUBG has nothing to do with drinking. Anyways, so on our 99th episode, we have a guest tied in all the way from quarantine from Seattle, Mr. Christian Mistletoe. Soultrain. It's just Soultrain. I don't even know Christian. I just know Soultrain. Christian.
Hey, gentlemen. How you doing?
All right. It's good to have you on. You've been a long-time supporter of Board Game Snobs, and we've appreciated your long-time support very much. And
happy to do it. You guys have carried me through some fun times, and you helped with this long drive across the country, and you guys really keep it going for me. I got something to look forward to every Wednesday.
The decanter you have filled that you sent me is actually it's empty right now. Actually, sadly.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're using it.
We've
been using it.
Is the longest running listener of the podcast.
I don't know about that.
I'm pretty sure it is. I think
Giuseppe Macaverna is pretty.
He thinks Giuseppe
I think he may have actually texted slightly before Christian.
You don't know what to time it.
But he emailed.
But Giuseppe hasn't started his own podcast.
No, so we have nothing to promote for him.
Yes, we can't promote Giuseppe. Like we could tell people to like Giuseppe.
His Instagram, Board Game Diner.
But yeah, it's like, and I mean, really, that indicates to me when I think of Board Game Diner, I think of somebody who eats board games. So again, with the poor naming of titles, Mr. Soultrain as the proprietor of the Superboard Sunday, which is that is also a very odd name.
Where did y'all get that name from? I've been meaning to ask.
So it really came about when I met another one of your lovely snobbies or snobsters or whatever you want to call us. So basically I met Northern Frankie, and then we ran into another gentleman at a convention, Brian Aldrich, who you guys have been in touch with, who mistakenly still loves tapestry. Plays it every day, it feels like.
Brian.
No, intervention time, I know.
You need to stop.
But basically we got together
and start a podcast with someone else.
Sure, we can. Well, actually, he's kind of the brains behind the operation. He does produce it.
So that's your new. Y'all are like 4 episodes in on Superboard Sunday, right?
Yes, we're 4 in. We're strongly influenced by you gentlemen. You've set a bar that we will probably never reach. We hope to one day.
Without a doubt, you will never reach it.
True. I mean, 3 inches off the ground is very difficult.
It's very difficult to reach that low of a bar.
I guess we can only go down.
Get some middle-aged men together, start drinking. I mean, who can possibly emulate that?
Yes, that's the way to be.
I mean,
such a unique format you've got going on there.
Well, yeah, so it's your format's fantastic. It does, as everyone else that talks about it feels like we're sitting in the room right next to you guys and at the table, bickering, bantering, losing to Jerry, apparently.
Yeah, we don't have a format. I mean, we tried. We tried.
Have you listened to the early episodes?
Oh, they're terrible.
Oh, yeah.
They're terrible.
I listened to all of them over again when I drove cross country. I started at the beginning.
Jerry tried really hard to have a format. He wanted to be a certain way. And then we realized we just had to throw it out the window.
I just remember yelling at Gabi about how you're supposed to be a certain way on this podcast. We have to have a certain level of professionalism. And I just remember, I think it was about episode 20, where Gabi come in and he decided he was going to start editing the podcast. And he had this great idea. He said, let's do it live. And I said, that's stupid because we'll say things that we can't take back. And we also there's just
not live.
But Gabi was just all about, let's just do it live. And then
unedited, basically.
Unedited. We sat down. He poured us a drink, and we did this one episode where we just laid back and we talked about things. And after it was over, I said, nobody will like this. This is stupid. And then from then on out, we just kept doing these episodes where there was no format. Literally, we would sit down and he'd say, what game are we going to talk about? And it was like, well, we'll talk about this. And then we'd just start. We'd talk for about 30, 45 minutes and we'd cut it off. And what that really impressed upon me is we're
best friends.
Yes, that. And that people enjoy listening to
best friends,
organic, natural conversation that hasn't been scripted, that isn't that isn't thought out. And that's us as a whole. And so we had you on the show mainly because you have been a listener for a long time. And we do actually somewhat enjoy your podcast. I listen to your podcast mainly because y'all listen to us, because I don't think y'all
listen to you because you listen to us.
Yes, there's a mutual exchange, because I don't listen to other podcasts. I do listen to Sporadically Bored because of Dan, and I didn't even know they existed until Gabi's talking about Dan Hughes, and I don't know who Dan Hughes and Mike Delisio are. I started listening to them, and they have a very similar style.
What's crazy is I didn't know I knew them, but I didn't know them. I knew Dan Hughes from This Game Is Broken. I knew Mike Delisio from Solo Board Gaming, his YouTube channel. And then I was listening to the podcast. I was like, this guy sounds familiar. And it was the same guys. I was like, hey. But Christian, Soultrain, we have nicknamed him Soultrain for several episodes now.
I cannot remember why I did
I don't either.
It really stemmed from you guys not figuring out what my name was and calling me about 78 different things over multiple podcasts. So I think you just settled on Soultrain because, well, why not, right?
That sounds good.
I bring the funk.
Good. We tend to do that quite often.
Well, and I'm particularly fond of the Soultrains.
I am too.
Christian and his wife.
I thought you were talking about the show. I'm sorry. I was thinking of people gyrating. I was like, I like Soultrain.
We're bad at life.
Well, I remember after my mother passed away, the Soultrains were very kind. They sent me the decanter and a card, and a very kind card. And so you've endeared yourself to me personally.
Just buying friendship, that's all.
There you go.
That's
just
important.
A little bit of bribery. Bribery goes a long way.
Buying friendship, that's the way to be. That should be like a board game, buying friendship.
Have you played Chrono Corsairs?
I have not. Any good?
No.
It is not. It is indeed not.
Have you played Space Explorers? It's like Splendor in space.
I have.
Oh,
you have that one.
Boom. And he pulls it out.
And?
And?
I like it. It's better than Splendor.
I am just...
two against one.
Justified.
2 against 1.
So there you have it, Mr. Dragonheart.
I prefer I am the last one. Except I'm not. Part 2.
He enjoys. I don't like Splendor, of course. But Space Explorers was nice. It was nice. It was nice.
Is there a game that I'm known to hate?
I don't know. I don't know how.
I'm not as opinionated as you. I'm gonna create a game I hate.
Well, you have to brand yourself. It's very important.
I have to brand myself.
What do you call that? Personality. That's what you should develop. It's a distinct.
No, it's called super opinionated.
Soultrain, is there a game that you absolutely hate?
You despise.
You despise.
Matter of fact, there's a couple. Are you familiar with Rise of Moloch?
I am not.
No, sir.
No, it's from Cool Mini or Not or CMON or Come On or whatever they call themselves. It's a all versus one minis game. And
it's a mini game?
Yeah, so it's just, you know how they do it. They've got 1,000 minis. You've got one person who is this big bad, and you've got a group of 4 people trying to stop him. A friend of mine picked it up. Phil loved it, raved about it. We got together, and it's one of the most unbalanced experiences I've ever had. And it really just, we tried 3 times, and it just went miserably every time. The rules, it's fiddly. It's just one of those big box games that, I mean, they get you. They get their hooks in you, and you got to buy everything they put out. But the only other one that I could think of that I hated was Coaster Park, which was...
Never heard of that.
It was an attempt at a bidding game to create an actual roller coaster using cardboard pieces and a marble. I think it was Pandasaurus that put it out.
Yes, I do remember that. And I remember watching like the Dice Towers video. I'm like, that looks so fragile.
Pandasaurus is the same people that brought you Wasteland Express, if I'm not considered.
Yes.
So they're known for putting out a lot of nice art, a lot of flash, some interesting ideas, but it's very low on terms of actual gameplay, in my opinion. That's very harsh, but...
Yeah, so you're building these roller coasters that don't work because, well, gravity. They're not steep enough to get the marble up and down the roller coasters like you're supposed to. So basically everyone loses.
Yeah, fun fact. One time when I was at Six Flags, I got to be a part of a ride, or it wasn't a roller coaster, it was a Superman ride, when it malfunctioned and took off the legs of a lady.
Wait, what?
That was...
Whoa.
That took off her legs?
Yes, so if you're...
Why are you saying legs?
Legs.
Legs?
As in her bilateral lower extremities. So if you're familiar with the Superman...
They chopped them off.
They chopped them off, her feet, actually.
Oh, God.
So if you're familiar with
it's got dark.
Wait a minute. We should have, like, trigger warning. Trigger warning for anybody who's
super dark.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't tell this. Let's just go on. On our last podcast, we were talking about flat earthers, and I went on a rant, and because
Did you see in the news where that guy like took off on a rocket and died?
Yes. Okay. Have you watched the documentary?
No, I have not. I have not, because there's a thing that every once in a while when I get irritated at something that's just ignorant in my mind, and that happened to be one of the things I focused on. And on one of our podcasts, I think it was dealing with colonialism, that particular podcast was much longer, because at the very last, Gabi mentions flat earthers, and then I go on this rant, and next thing I know, when I'm listening to the podcast, literally he cut out like 10 minutes of me just going off.
Insulting a dead person.
Insulting a dead person.
Yes,
okay.
So it's a good way to lose listeners.
Yeah, just FYI for this podcast, Gabi has set the rule that I can't insult anybody who has been dead within the past 5 years. 5 years and after, they're free game. So
no
Abraham
coronavirus
Lincoln.
Jokes.
Boom.
Abraham Lincoln.
No, there won't be.
No.
How is that?
Patient zero.
How is that going on? You're in Seattle.
So
you're locked down.
So let's get a point there, because you went off. So ready, go.
No, I didn't go off. Save all that. That's good. That's good stuff.
We're going to discuss how we didn't discuss your flat earther joke in the last podcast.
I didn't say what my flat earther joke was. Notice I didn't insert that in. I am a great producer. Yeah, Christian. So y'all doing okay over there, right? Everything's going good?
Yeah, self-isolation, staying away from everyone. It's been interesting here being in Washington, which is kind of a hotbed for this interesting time. It's almost forcing me to try solo gaming for the first time. I'm very reluctant.
I am a big time solo gamer. And so what solo games do you have?
Do you have viticulture?
I do.
That's not a solo game.
It is. Have you soloed?
A solo game.
You're an idiot.
It sucks.
You're an idiot.
Okay.
Have you soloed viticulture ever?
I have never played a board game solo.
What other solo? Do you have a game that's only solo?
I do not own coffee roasters. I don't own.
Nor should you.
Solo.
What do you mean? Coffee Roasters is awesome.
Do you want to put like things in a bag and pull them back out on a repeated basis and then score things?
That's a fun time.
No, it's not.
That's a great time.
No, it's
Solo, yes. Roast. Oh.
No.
So I highly recommend.
We differ. I will play Coffee Roasters. It's fine, but Jerry has it on this pedestal.
I love Coffee Roasters.
Mr. Coffee pedestal that does not deserve to be on.
I am Juan Valdez. That is great.
He sunk the Titanic.
Who?
No, wait.
What? No, he didn't. What are you talking? That was an iceberg.
Exxon Valdez. That was you.
Valdez that's what you're thinking.
You killed many a dolphin.
No. That's not, you are so, don't even know history. But no, Coffee Roasters is really good. And actually, I should save this for another podcast, but I compared the old Coffee Roasters with the new Stronghold Coffee Roasters. And Stronghold at times has problems with their production and their production value and their components and so forth. Stronghold, a.k.a. Terraforming Mars. They did an excellent job on this version. I really like it. It's very nice, and I highly recommend Coffee Roasters.
So which one would you prefer?
The Stronghold. I'm down like a clown, Charlie Brown.
Really?
It's also cool with all these kid references.
Look at you, down like a clown, Charlie Brown. Yeah, I'm sure that hasn't been heard since at least 1973.
Well, the Charlie Browns of the world. You don't have anything else you could solo? I'm looking around the room.
I like the multiplayer, like Anachrony. You can solo.
It's decent.
Viticulture, you can solo.
It's okay.
Raiders of the North Sea, you can solo.
No, it's not any good.
Oh, come on.
I'm the professor of solo games.
Well, you
Fair
play
enough.
what's the Black Sonata?
Black Sonata is
a solo.
Single-handedly a game that should be praised and put upon a pedestal. Black Sonata does something that no solo game has been able to do in the past. It's a hidden movement game, and I'm shocked that you can have a solo hidden movement game. You can play hide and seek with yourself. I mean, who doesn't want to do that? And aren't there times where you wish you could go find something?
I do. I wish I could hide right now.
Okay, never mind. So you don't do solo gaming. Well, that's one.
I've never played a solo game, even though Brian, who essentially, who runs that podcast with me, Superboard Sunday, he is a huge proponent. He won't buy a game if it doesn't have a solo.
Who do you normally play with? Do you have a group there in Seattle?
I've actually reached out and branched out and met some folks. I actually flew out early before we made the big move, and there was a local board game cafe.
Boy, your arm's tired.
I basically lived at. And
classic. So, you can't say that and not say that.
No, you just got to stop. The cheesiness is killing me.
Like macaroni and cheese. Hey, speaking of which, have you ever had macaroni and cheese?
Love it.
Which is your favorite? Although, you like a home?
Annie's.
Who?
Annie's.
Is that a brand?
That's a brand.
Please don't get us in trouble because remember that Uncle Ben's rice thing. We're still recovering from that.
Yeah, it's not the San Francisco treat.
So
that's for sure.
Like Kraft macaroni and cheese with the powdered orange nuclear cheese.
So Annie's is a better version of that.
Really? I've never had Annie's.
Yeah, and you can toss some peas in it and act like you're being healthy, but it's not really.
Peas in it?
People like peas. Annie's, the Seattle's scintillating side dish.
I will say no to peas.
I like peas.
That does not appease me.
You asked Christian a question.
You know what? I like macaroni. I like Kraft macaroni and cheese with what's that spicy stuff you put in Velveeta?
Sriracha.
No, the Rotel. Have you put Rotel in your macaroni and cheese?
Rotel is the
have not. What is Rotel?
Would nobody?
What is
please? Rotel is like a poor man's version of sauce.
It is diced tomato, onion, and pepper in a can. And have you ever had like the Velveeta Rotel sauce? Yeah, it's a Velveeta.
It's a generic salsa.
Okay,
Rotel is generic.
Have you ever had the Velveeta dip, like cheese dip?
Yeah, you mix it with salsa
with Rotel.
You don't never
mix
heard
it
of that.
You don't mix it with salsa. You mix it with Rotel. So is what's done here in the South.
If you're south of Kansas, you have to use Rotel with your Velveeta.
Use Rotel.
And so here's the thing: Rotel and Velveeta. I can't.
That is my favorite dipping mechanism.
Although dipping mechanism. Although I was raised in the South, there are certain things that I fight against. And one, I do not like iced tea. I don't like
tea, period.
I like hot tea. I don't like Velveeta. Velveeta is a cheese product. There's not enough cheese in it to actually even call it cheese.
It's delicious when melted.
It's a product.
Accurate.
And so Rotel is just...
It's more of a cheese plastic.
Why is it that in the South, we like to take things and modify them to the point to where they just become this thing that we obsess over? Here in the South, we had Bluebell ice cream. Do y'all have Bluebell ice cream in Seattle?
No, sir.
Bluebell ice cream is a company that makes ice cream. And a few years ago, they accidentally killed a few people.
We may have killed a few people.
With listeria at their plant.
But our French vanilla is delicious.
It is. And so they put out a warning to everybody to throw away their Bluebell ice cream. Nobody did.
Lose your listeria. That's what we called it.
Nobody would do it. Everybody just kept their Bluebell ice cream. And literally like 3 months later when they cleansed their plant, people were waiting at the grocery stores to buy Bluebell. Bluebell ice cream is about as Southern as it can get. And it's just amazing. Oh, I
French fried taters.
That's all. Yes, that's all. Yes, that's the. If you have not had French fried taters and then ate Bluebell ice cream, I don't know.
Put mustard on it.
Yeah. Not honey mustard.
No, not honey mustard. What are you talking about, boy?
Okay, Billy Bob.
Oh, you're killing me. So, all right, Christian, back. This is a board game podcast. I have a pad in front of me that has some questions.
You're like,
oh no,
you have nothing written on that. You're just looking at it so as to look busy.
I am busy.
Improv.
What is your favorite game?
I would say Anachrony.
You and Enrique are one and the same.
Oh,
that's why I'm Team Enrique, baby.
Hashtag.
What's the worst game you've played here recently? Besides the two you just
recently?
Named. Yeah,
Sorcerer City.
I've heard you rap about that on your podcast.
No Sorcerer City.
You're not feeling Sorcerer City. I don't like the fact that you have to say Sorcerer City.
I agree with you, even though I've never played it.
I don't like cities and I don't like sorcerers.
As long as I have somebody telling me what to play,
I will
side with them?
Why are there no rule sorcerers?
Is Doctor Strange in there?
He is not. It's just a bunch of madness. It's timed Carcassonne with monsters attacking you. It's
Carcassonne.
Yeah, so basically it's just you get a stack of tiles, you eventually buy more abilities triggering abilities, and then you have to assemble your city in 2-minute intervals. And
no thanks.
Exactly. I will say though,
is it a real-time game? Like a real-time thing?
So basically you set a timer, similar to like 5-Minute Dungeon where they've got those canned apps that has the music playing, and you get that 2-minute span and you've got a deck of face down tiles and you have to assemble your city in that timer. It's very stressful, and I'm already not good at visual spatial games like Carcassonne and Isle of Skye and whatnot. So it's just a combination that doesn't work for me, and I'm in the minority in that with my group of friends that I was playing with a couple weeks ago.
Brian
they all love
Frankie.
It. Pardon?
Brian and Frankie.
Does Frankie like it?
It's Frankie's copy. So
that says it all. I tell you what, that Frankie. Sometimes I know he's of the north.
I think he's weighing you down.
Don't say that. He lifts me up.
I know how it is to be weighed down by a co-host. Trust me.
Enrique, am I right?
Why are you going to talk about Bubba like that?
I don't ever talk bad about Bubba. But me and
Bubba, the elusive Bubba. He's like the Loch Ness Monster.
Bubba is my brother from another mother. We are basically the same person, except
Bubba is reasonable and kind.
This is true. So, what was your best game of 2019?
We're going to have Frankie on next.
So, my favorite game of 2019, I would have to say, is Escape Plan. I loved that experience. It was unique. Lots of interesting decisions to make, especially, sending the fuzz at your friends and trying to get out in time and, not losing the game. We
didn't send much fuzz at our friends, did we?
I'm not, as we say here, snitches get stitches. So sending the fuzz was naturally something we don't do.
Send the fuzz. We just didn't do it.
I'm a tattletale.
Yeah. That must be a northern thing. Is there any other Vital Lacerda games, Lacerda, that you enjoy?
I actually enjoy On Mars.
I have not played it.
Yeah,
I really liked On Mars. I know that
super complicated.
I honestly don't find it that complicated, and And that's a conversation I have with everyone usually. They laugh at me because I can't figure out Arboretum. But you can throw a Lacerda game in front of me and...
Where do these poplar trees
5
go?
minutes.
Tree!
Is this a deciduous tree?
I don't get nature.
It's a perennial. Oh, no. Nature. I don't get nature, but I do get Mars. I have Vinos, the old edition, which I have not played yet, but I've read through the rule book, and I would hazard to say it's going to be a game that I enjoy. I played the
Dukes of Hazzard to say?
Dukes of Hazzard to say.
Just some good old boys.
I would say that...
Never meant any harm?
That Kanban did mean harm. Kanban was pretty rough, and they've got a new version coming out that I'm actually interested in. So I've played Escape Plan. I've enjoyed Escape Plan. I wish it was one of those games that
It's fine. I wish I had played it more than once.
Yes, we only played it once. It's one that
The one time I played it, I was like, it's fine. It's good.
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
I did enjoy it that thoroughly. I mean, I bailed out, got my money, ran. I came in second.
Okay, well, you should love it then. Any game that you come close to winning.
No.
You're all about Fast and Furious, bailing out.
I do love Fast and Furious.
Yes, and so there you go. Why is there not a Fast and Furious
mile at a time
board game?
I don't know, because people are not there yet. It's just so mind-boggling. You can't handle it.
Christian, if there was one IP that you could make into a board game.
Or OPP.
What OP
Yeah,
IP?
you know me.
That's some 90s brethren right there.
Oh, yes.
There we go. Naughty by nature, baby.
If there was one IP that you could make into a board game, what do you think?
Wow, way to put me on the spot.
I know. I gave you no thought. It just popped in my head.
Well, why you think about it, Jerry? What's yours?
I don't know, Gabby. What's yours? Reverse.
Fast and Furious.
Oh, crap. This is not working out.
A racing game featuring Fast and Furious.
I have one. I do have one.
Okay.
And I've thought extensively about this. There is no board game out there that this IP exists in. There are RPGs of it.
I have a further thought when you're done.
Okay, well, you can further your own thought.
I am.
But
thought.
But I intend to take my thought to fruition to where it can't be furthered. But Star Trek. There has not been...
Or Star Trek, whichever one.
I said Star Trek.
You did not. That's
I said
different.
track or trek?
Track. You said track.
Well, Star Trek and Star Trek...
It's like you say bag and leg.
Star Trek is with Patrick Stewart. Star Trek is the treadmill.
That's what...
that you run outside at night.
Wait, who's the guy that was with Johnny Carson all the time?
Oh, what's his face? He did like
yes.
this.
Clearinghouse Man, right?
Clearinghouse Man.
McMahon?
You're McMahon. Ed McMahon.
That's the one. Star Trek.
I like this. Search for the stars. Search for the stars.
Yes. Star Trek.
Star Trek. So in Star Trek, there's not a good Star Trek game.
No, because they keep trying to make them, but they all seem... what's the one we had where it was Star Trek Panic?
Conflict.
Ascendancy? Have you tried that one?
I have
We have not played Ascendancy. Jerry has played... he had Frontiers, never played it. I think he gave up on it. It's the Mage Knight wannabe, you know? What's the one where it's Star Trek... That's like the Panic. The
Star Trek Panic.
Is it Star Trek Panic?
Yes.
That one was good.
Star Trek Frenzy?
That was fun.
Star Trek Anxiety?
That was fun. Like your ship's constantly blowing up, you're dodging all these things. Do I have that game still?
You did, but we sold it.
I
sold it for you and pocketed the money. What I mean,
Castle Panic. It's the Castle Panic with Star Trek. Okay, yeah.
So
okay.
To clarify what I mean,
so do you have? I'm looking at your background. Are those the BGG posters?
We literally talked about that prior. Yes, those are BGG.
Some of them are. A couple of them are also from. I don't even know the company. A friend of them sent them to me from the UK. The Wingspan one and Gloomhaven one.
Those are nice.
Are not BGG ones, but the other three are.
But to clarify my thought on Star Trek, because I have to complete this thought because I'm obsessed with it. Every time they make a Star Trek game, they make it about the ships. Their Star Trek Panic, their Star Trek Ascendancy, their Star Trek or whatever. They always do the ships. They never do the away team aspect of it. They never do the adventure type. Like, to me, a game like Gloomhaven, which I haven't played, but I've read the rule book on, and various other games that are adventure type games, it would be great if we had a Star Trek game that was more adventure rather than just every time we have a Star Trek game, it's a stupid ship fighting game, which is only a small fraction of actual Star Trek. So if I had to have one IP that I could get my hands on that they could actually make a good, solid game out of, it's Star Trek. All right, Christian, you had enough time to think.
I did have enough time to think, and I'm just going to go back to my old standby. Growing up in the era I did, Transformers. There's never been a good Transformers game.
There isn't, is there? I'm trying to think.
There's a card game that's not great, and I can't think of any Transformers property that exists. I mean, you've got a lot of mech games, but I don't know if you could make a good Transformers one.
I'm going to take back my comment about Star Trek and tack on that there's not a good G.I. Joe game either. I really wish there was a good G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe is an underappreciated IP, in my opinion.
Undaunted G.I. Joe?
That would be nice. I'm thinking of more of like if you've played it, it's an excellent solo game by DVG. Warfighter. There's the Warfighter Modern Warfare, and there's the Warfighter World War II, which it's a card-based solo game where you have these characters, you outfit them, sending on missions. It's just, that would be an excellent variation of the G.I. Joe franchise. I love DVG games. There's a solo suggestion for you. There are tons of good DVG games. Dan Vierson.
How old are you, Christian?
I am 37.
30.
Born in 82.
Well, you're not that far behind.
No.
You look
I'm
much
basically
younger.
middle-aged.
You're a younger looking man.
That's because I have my hat on.
Congratulations.
Then I look like Gabi.
Are you bald? Are you bald?
I mean, I'm getting there. It's at the point where I'm going to shave it.
You got to let it go.
Nobody has a luscious head of hair like mine.
We brought it up when Gabi was trying to go through the keto process, and I know that we were all concerned about his weight, and we were trying to help him with suggestions.
And I have not done anything about it.
We're here for you.
He's eating less, but he's drinking more.
I'm increasing my caloric intake with fluids.
That's fair. So I think I got it from gaining the freshman 75 and then losing the freshman 75 back and forth. So I know in one of the earlier casts with your medical knowledge, you discussed, rapid weight loss and weight gain can attribute to follicle loss.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And you can't do that.
Follicular loss.
Yes, you are follicularly challenged.
I'm basically there.
She's the bald I'm trying to make a joke out of this. I can't. I'm not going to make fun of anyone.
Follicle day?
Follicle day. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to make fun.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, because I appreciate you as a human and as a co-host. Or, sorry, you're the primary host.
He is the host. How dare you?
Well, yeah, he does an excellent job hosting. I realized a long time ago.
Without me,
I'm nothing. I am nothing without you. Oh, I brought up earlier at our podcast that this is our 99th episode, which is true. And one of the things that's going to remind our listeners, and I'll remind them now before I forget, is that we're stopping the podcast at 99. That doesn't mean that we're going to stop our episodes. That just simply means that officially we are not going to shoot our 100th episode. Matter of fact, we're probably going to put out more episodes because since this whole social distancing quarantine thing is going into effect, I being in the medical field, I'm probably not going to be coming over to Gabi's house to shoot the podcast. So,
why?
Because I'll give you diseases.
Please don't.
And that's right. So I'm going to take my microphone home, and either we will Skype in or we'll do our own private solo.
What are you going to wash it with?
We're going to do our own podcast. Probably daily.
Get your hot breath on it on a regular basis.
Semi-daily. Are you talking about the microphone?
Yes.
I will cleanse this microphone before bringing it back. But due to my high risk of exposure, we're not going to be podcasting in the same room for a while. So we feel like that if we're not in the room together, that does not count as an episode. So this is our 99th episode. All the other episodes after this are just going to be 99.1.
99.1.
On our 100th episode, we intend to get back together and shoot an episode with Bubba, Enrique, which Enrique's doing all right because he's self-isolated.
Hang in there, buddy.
Yeah, hang in there, buddy. Actually, he's doing just fine. I saw him today. His mustache has grown out a lot.
It's disgusting.
It's disgusting.
I need to see this thing.
It is terrible. Gross. It is absolutely.
He refuses to shave it. He literally refuses to shave it.
It looks like he has a third eyebrow. It's very odd. It's like a third. Like the hair of your eyebrow is different than the hair on your face, but his is like the eyebrow has been transposed down below his lip. Anyway, so our 100th episode, we're going to get everybody together. Probably Mike. Probably everybody. We're just going to get everybody together when all this situation is over, and then we'll do our 100th episode. Because
will it be over? Ever?
What? Yes, it will be over. What the episode? Like the board game snobs?
Life.
No, we're not gonna stop. We can't stop. People
won't stop.
We won't stop. We don't know how to stop. But so that's why every episode after this is not our 100th episode. It's just banter, pod snaps, and other things. And so just to remind our friends and our fans and our other listeners and our lovers that we are not. This is the 99th. And we're not
99.1.
Yes, that's the next one. And then 99.2.
KBGS.
I loved KBGS. Anyways.
Me too. Christian, what is your favorite movie of all time?
Ooh, good question.
Wet Hot American Summer.
Really?
Wait a minute, who's in that?
So you have a unique sense of humor, I see.
No one gets me.
I like Wet Hot. Did you watch all the Netflix shows?
Yeah, I did. I appreciated the humor and them getting the band back together, but that movie just kills me every time.
Okay. So if you were to take, then your second best favorite movie.
Second best movie that someone's heard of?
Second best movie? No, I've heard of it. Have you heard of Wet Hot American Summer, Jerry?
It took me a little bit. I was looking it up.
It's basically like all the comedians of the 90s getting together.
It's not. I've not watched it.
It's Bradley Cooper's first movie. It's Elizabeth Banks' first movie.
Really?
Come on.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he skipped his graduation to go to it. There's a really interesting documentary about it as well. I grew up obsessed with MTV's The State, and then, they moved on to that and Divide and Conquer. They've made all kinds of interesting TV shows with odd senses of humor. So,
see, I'm I'm like an airplane type of guy.
Mm-hmm. No, I love Top Secret.
Top Secret, Val Kilmer.
Oh,
excellent,
excellent.
Skeet Shooting USA. Chocolate mousse. Oh yeah, it's a classic.
I remember this movie has a very special place in my heart because my dad, who for some reason,
a Platoon.
No, like
Born on the 4th of July. Which depressing movies?
Very depressing movies. And like he always watched these war movies and all this stuff, but he had a few comedies that he just thought were hilarious. And I remember the day him coming down the staircase and says, "Son, we got to watch a movie together." And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm not going to sleep tonight. I'm going to have nightmares. And he put on Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail.
Oh, wow.
And we watched that, and I laughed so hard. I didn't know what we were watching. I thought it was actually a historical show until they would come over the hill. And they're clapping the coconuts. And I'm like,
Knights of Shmee.
Yeah, Knights of Nee. Yeah. And I said,
I need a shrub.
I need a shrubbery. And I'll never forget the day with John Cleese is that wizard looking guy, and they're like he's saying his name. He's going on about Tim. My name is Tim, and I just remember my dad dying laughing. And then there's this rabbit that they fight.
They fight a rabbit.
They fight a rabbit and it whips them. And there's something about when you're watching something so surreal and it's crazy, but at the same time, it's so absurd. And I watched that show, and ever since then, every time I watch that show, I've seen people who just don't get it. And I really think that certain comedies, much like certain movies, much like certain board games or any type of entertainment, at certain points in your life, when you experience something, it like imprints in your brain that this is something important. Like I've read this book or I watched this movie or heard this song at a certain time.
And you search for people that feel likewise, don't you?
Right. And there's just this thing where it's like, do you listen to this song and break down in tears? It's like, yes.
Have you seen Monte Cristo's Monty Python?
Oh, I've ate a Monte Cristo. Yo, what did you said something that you did for work. You work on Skynet.
I work for Skynet. A subsidiary of Skynet.
You're the guy.
You work for Ground Skynet.
I am actually in training and development. I put together customer education for what we call conversation artificial intelligence. Basically, it's a intelligent chatbot. So when you get those lovely emails and you say, "Hey, don't bother me for 2 weeks," and you think it's a real person, it's not. So basically, our AI assistants are so intelligent that you think they're human. They're not robocallers per se, but they're effective. In the fact that
you mean that's like when I call a hotline and they're like, "Oh, can you tell me what's going on?" And I say, "Oh, I need this," and they say yes, that type thing, or is it like
it's primarily email and text? So we don't actually have phone. It's basically think of an auto dealership and an auto dealership following up with you in a couple weeks after you buy your car to say, hey, it's time to come in for an oil change. And you're like, sure. And then let me put you in touch with one of your service advisors. If you ever get one of those messages, it's probably us in the middle, referring you to the human. Yeah, text and email. And I basically put together the training for people and how the heck to use it and implement it. So make all kinds of fun videos and whatnot.
When I was much younger and I had that free internet AOL disk, and I installed that on my Hewlett-Packard, I was chatting with somebody through the AOL chat room, and it was very nice to be back and forth, and I thought that this person was...
Jerry, you look lonely. For your next oil change, please press 3,
turned
Jerry.
out to be like a 60-year-old guy in Philadelphia. It was very odd.
So you got catfished?
I got catfished. And you don't know how devastating...
You seem awful lonely, Jerry.
They don't know how devastating it is.
Come on there for an oil
14
change.
years old.
Is it Herbert from Family Guy?
Yeah.
Guess who?
There he is.
There he is.
Come on in, Jerry.
Want some candy?
You're going to have to stop.
You want to come in for an oil change, Jerry? Come on in.
I'm old.
You didn't know that that's Gabi's favorite voice.
Is it really?
Yeah, if you've listened to our other podcast one time, we had DJ on, and DJ does this most spot on creepy old guy off Family Guy. And
what's his name on Family Guy?
I don't remember his name.
It's
just the creepy old guy.
Excuse me every time.
But just to bring this up, there was a time where DJ, Gabi, and I were all playing this one game, and for some reason we all got into doing that voice of the old man who's slightly odd on Family Guy, and we couldn't stop, and we played the entirety of the game. I think it might have been Game of Thrones.
Yes, it was.
Using that voice, and it culminated.
You want to come over to my neck of woods, huh?
I see you're trying to advance. There was a time where it culminated in DJ saying what at the time was the funniest thing I had ever heard another person utter, which was basically Gabi had messed up the rules of his army invading an area, and there was nobody there. Gabi ended up attacking an area for which nobody...
Well, I shouldn't have been there, I was.
He shouldn't have been there. DJ ended up uttering one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life that I can't repeat on the podcast. But there are moments whenever you're with people and you're experiencing something that really the experience of the whole just etches into your mind. I think there's a lot of board games and movies and media that's like that.
Yeah, I think that's a big reason I play board games, right? You get together with people you either enjoy or want to prove that you're smarter than, and you have those hilarious moments of buffoonery or just pure genius, or, like an escape plan. It's always fun to watch my friend Jim never escape on time. We've played it a few times now, and he never makes it out alive.
Oh, no, not again.
He's that guy. Jim.
The Enrique
He's always
of your game.
Looking for that extra money, and then all of a sudden it's time to go.
Enrique.
You got to act quickly.
You got to act quickly. Well, this was rather pointless. This was a pointless podcast. We just had this just to conversate and to be like, did we talk about even board games?
I mean, if friendship is pointless to you, then, I guess so.
Oh, I feel threatened. We didn't cover...
Chastised.
We didn't cover any of the emails I was going to read. We didn't talk about anything.
I can't help you take forever to get to your point.
I'm sorry, but I kept getting interrupted.
By who?
By somebody. Christian. No, you just wouldn't stop. You wouldn't stop with your voices.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Yes.
I'll be back.
And your pop culture references. Well, Christian, we're glad that you have that. We're glad that you had us on. We're glad to have you on.
Thanks for having us on, Christian.
For having us on the show.
Come back anytime, guys.
It's Frankie's turn to talk now.
I'm sure you'll get ones of listeners to your super board pund.
We'll take anything we can get.
Why did y'all start that podcast? Just to have the experience of just getting together and throwing your thoughts out there?
It really was a matter of I'm a jerk and I moved to another coast, and we really wanted to stay in touch. And Brian, who is on it with us, actually previously had a podcast about beer, and he really wanted to put us together and just get us chatting and try and get our personalities out and just have some fun and, talk about what we love. So it was really just a good excuse for us to get together kind of weekly and catch up, and then, sometimes talk about games or incorrectly summarize a game, or, mislead the public.
I've listened to Brian's beer podcast, and I'm not a beer drinker myself. I enjoy beer.
What's the name of that one?
It's something like, I don't know. It's got some weird, it's like Brewing Buddies or I can't remember. I'll listen to it once. I'll listen to everybody's podcast who listens to us. If you listen to us, I'll listen to you. It's how it works.
Is there a tit for tat? Jerry's a tit for tat kind of guy.
I am a tit. I am for tat. I'm that way.
You for that?
I am all about that, as you well know.
Sweet.
But I just want to say thank you so much for having me join and for entertaining the heck out of me for the past, year and a half, 2 years that you guys have been doing this. Feels like forever, but I know it hasn't been.
No, 2017, I think we started.
September.
Damn.
September.
It's fantastic. It honestly really is something to look forward to every week. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, gentlemen. I really do appreciate everything you guys do. And, let's put the world on notice and start your own Snobs network.
Yes, we're trying
the Card Shufflers Network.
The Card Shufflers. I'm telling you, we're going to get sued.
How can we get sued?
I don't know. I don't think you could do a
card.
There's probably a union.
There's probably a Card Shufflers union. We can't do a parody upon another.
What? What network are you talking about?
I don't know. What network are you talking about?
Exactly.
Well,
thanks for exactly. Thanks for being on, Christian.
I am thankful that Gabi has people that will write to him and email to him and express their love and joy and appreciation for him on the internet, because that affects him. He's one of those sensitive souls that enjoys hearing from people and interacting with people, whereas I am enjoying the self-quarantine and not having to be within 6 feet of other people. And so Gabi appreciates that greatly. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for keeping...
From the bottom of your heart.
Yes, my cold,
dark,
dead heart.
Black.
And we appreciate all of our listeners, and we hope that you're all doing well. Please send us an email at boardgamesnobs@gmail.com. Follow us on the Instagram and the Twitter.
And give Super Bored Sunday a listen. All right, Christian, thanks for coming on. We'll holler at you later.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Board Game Snobs. Stay classy.